WWE fans often behave inappropriately during wrestling matches, as evidenced by this person who blindsided Randy Orton after a match or this guy who attacked the Hitman at a special event. What about the man who tried to attack Mrs. McMahon during a WWE match? Even while some fans are banned for life for attending these contests, it appears that the thrill of watching the wrestlers compete encourages others to follow suit. Let's start with Roman Reigns' predicament. It all took place at a WWE house show in Victoria, British Columbia, in August 2015. Bray Wyatt, a late three-time world champion, was facing up against Roman Reigns, the six-time world champion and the longest-reigning Universal Champion in history. A briefcase that suddenly flew into the ring and hit Reigns in the head was the following incident. The briefcase turned out to belong to a certain 31-year-old aficionado. Subsequent police investigations revealed that multiple onlookers seen this individual carrying a fake tossing the cash from the bank briefcase into the ring was a challenge they all sort of accepted. The briefcase he threw hit Roman Reigns in the head, and it hit him hard. As the officials and referees rushed to Reigns' help, Bray Wyatt showed some concern, but he made no attempt to exploit the fallen warrior. But Roman is a pretty strong man, and he was able to get back up and continue the fight. I was confused at first. I thought Bray hit me in the head with the kendo stick. So immediately I was like, man, you're about to get it, brother. You're about to get your butt whooped, he continued, showing his worry. Reigns was kind enough to decline to charge the perpetrator, but that doesn't mean the man was put in jail. But then I looked down and I saw the briefcase. So then I'm trying to piece this thing together. Instead of facing any consequences, the fan who tossed the briefcase was banned from all WWE events for life, according to Victoria Police spokesman Sergeant Brian Edwards. Next up is a fan who showed up and struck wrestler Sipho Sakabi. Orton was competing against Big E Langston in the Grand West Arena in Cape Town, South Africa, as part of a WWE tour of the country. With a fast RKO, Orton, who was on fire, ended the fight by knocking Langston out. One fan wasn't pleased and jumped, but Orton enjoyed climbing the ropes with his arms up in triumph, despite the fact that Orton was a multiple heavyweight champion. The guardrail entered the ring and blindsided him with an uppercut that hit directly in the groin. The fan was taken to court, where he entered a guilty plea as if he had little other option, and was given a sentence of 30 days in jail or a 500 Rand fine. In the end, he received a 3-year suspended sentence and was prohibited from attending any more WWE live events. Don't you think that some people would even call that a let-off? A minor plot twist is that it was later discovered that the invader was Sipho Sakabi, a 20-year-old indie wrestler who was presumably merely trying to establish himself by competing on the world's largest wrestling stage. His haste ultimately resulted in the whole South African population being banned from all WWE trips for 5 years. Next up is a fan named Zachary Madsen's much more vicious attack on Bret Hart. After making his debut in 1976, Bret went on to compete at the highest levels for about 50 years under the nickname Hitman, neither in his prime nor even in his later years as a professional wrestler did the perplexing attack occur. Bret Hart was in the middle of his Hall of Fame address when he was unexpectedly attacked on TV during his induction into the WWE Hall of Fame at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. The fact that this fan was able to elude WWE ringside security officials, tackle the Hitman, and exchange a few blows before being subdued shows that he genuinely possessed some skill. Additionally, some facts that basically explains why he's so handy came to light after he was restrained and appropriately jailed. Zachary Madsen, a 26-year-old man, was charged with 2 charges of 3-order assault, 1 count of 3-order criminal trespassing, and interfering with a sporting event. He was given a 1-year jail sentence in addition to being barred from all WWE events. Next up is an instance of 5 or 6 supporters interrupting a wrestling competition rather than just one. Members of Troll Station. During a WWE SmackDown taping in London, England, in April 2015, John Cena and Daniel Bryan faced Antonio Churro and Tyson Kidd in a tag team bout. Since this match ended up being Daniel Bryan's first retirement before his return 3 years later, people would likely remember it. It's crazy that 5 random guys took away all the attention from a retirement match for one of the greatest names in the WWE at the time, which had such a great cast. However, it may not have been random because the 5 men were actually part of a spoof YouTube channel called Troll Station. In an attempt to experience what it was like to be a WWE wrestler, the group unexpectedly entered the ring during the bout. While another pair fought, one was able to hit the other with a very stunning rock bottom. The 4 real wrestlers simply stood about and watched as the referees attempted to break it up. The pranksters were eventually apprehended by WWE security personnel, who then bundled them out of the arena. Although the group accepted full responsibility for their invasion and received some form of ban and penalty, they nevertheless uploaded the footage online, indicating that they were obviously not feeling very sorry for their actions. Fortunately, they had no malice in their hearts, and even the wrestlers seemed to have had a good time. Next up is a fan who, had the wrestler not reacted promptly, could have had a disastrous outcome from their attack. Guerrero is knocked off the ladder by a fan. Rob Van Dam was a relatively new member of the WWE in May 2002, but he was competing for the Intercontinental Championship in a WWE Raw ladder match against the late WWE legend Eddie Guerrero. It's hardly surprising that some of the fans would have wanted to join in on the action given how intensely thrilling the fight was. And one guy had the audacity to make this fan was obviously an RVD fan and couldn't afford to let his hero lose. He wasn't neutral. Thus, this man entered wearing and pushed the ladder from behind Guerrero as he ascended the ladder to get the belt. Fortunately, Guerrero was a sufficiently good martial artist that, rather than exhausting himself or giving up, he raised his fists in anticipation of a battle, which, if we're being completely honest, would have been amazing. Guerrero managed to get a punch and kick out on the man who nearly killed his season. But the referee had had enough and had tackled him from behind to force him out of the ring. We don't know exactly what this fan was thinking. Maybe he was just trying to hug her, or maybe Linda had turned him down before. But all we know is that he had leaped the barricade and was on his way to Mrs. McMahon. In another Raw episode from 2000, Triple H, a 14-time world champion and WWE superstar, saves Mrs. McMahon while he was still known as Hunter Helmsley. Naturally, the fan was banned for life. The connection he now has with the McMahons, but it didn't really matter to him at the time. He went all out to leap on the fan and hold him until security came to remove him when he realized Mrs. McMahon was going to be attacked. Although Junior and Jerry the King Lawler were stunned by the fact that this episode was caught on live television. Triple H and Linda deserve praise for being able to quickly move over it and resume their regular lives. This was Steve Austin at his peak, and it was a titanic battle. The bout had continued until almost immediately after he earned another victory. A fan leaped the barricade and approached Austin. He had just won the WWE title from Shawn Michaels and was facing Triple H, one of the most gifted and skilled future megastars. The plot twist was that a 250lb Triple H wasn't having any of this rambunctious German keeping in character, responded by suplexing the fan rather than going into full defensive mode. Triple H continued to strike the invader, who had already been flattened, until security pulled him out of the ring. The unlucky fan even received some strikes from referee Mike Chota. In September 2015. Dean Ambrose accompanied Reigns to the WWE Night of Champions pay-per-view bout, Shield vs. Wyatt, while they awaited the announcement of Chris Jericho as their Surprise tag team partner. Any reasonable wrestling fan would know that the Wyatt family is the target of a potential bloodbath, which is why the three of them were set to battle them. Wearing a costume that was very similar to the former Shield members, it was more like Shield Assembler One fan apparently missed the memo or believed his team needed some assistance because he abruptly jumped into the ring in support of Key. The Shield, even though none of the wrestlers on the roster for the six-man tag match wanted him there, standing directly close to Reigns and Ambrose, even looking Reigns in the face, gave the fan a fleeting glimpse of experiencing the dream. But that was it. He was quickly apprehended by security, who bundled him out of the arena. A YouTube commentator remarked, "The fan who blended in as one of the Shield was hilarious as fuck." Later, it was discovered that the fan was a particular 37-year-old Shield maniac called Oscar Ramirez, which at least gave him some positive feedback. However, no one believed that his impromptu performance was Oscar-worthy, and he was ultimately banned and given a 10-day jail sentence for trespassing. The following one, the Dean Ambrose incident, involves a former Shield member. Fans enjoy playing with the Shield, as we've seen and will see later. A fan ran towards Dean Ambrose, who was shaking supporters as he left the arena in 2015 while he was walking the aisle at the SmackDown taping at the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence, Rhode Island. Ambrose's back to the fan was the problem, and he may have been taken by surprise. Luckily, a security officer was able to take down the fan. The fan was carrying something, and things would have gone very wrong if security hadn't been on duty. The following occurrence took place at a live Tori Keller. A live Tori tease. A live Hora Tora. You will? A live Hora Tori. I will live lies. A live was a long. They will live lies. We will live lies. Salive live. We will live. We will live lies to send. My live. We send. We send. We will live. Concede. Collive not to come live. I gablet, my slap, by it. I can sit with us, it's our we say, get to me, suck, you say, cock, set to me, say, I'll say, creak up, you say, lie, it's cute, sick, get I suppose it's the cute, it's can't sick, it ends like, the creed, pickens, this is NXT event. A fan decided to make himself famous by running in on the Black and Gold brand as the Undisputed Era faced off against the Heavy Machinery and Cash's Ono squad in 2017. That night, Kyle O'Reilly wasn't putting up with fools, and he kicked the fan in the face to easily defeat him before security took him away. The thrilling evening came to a close when the Undisputed Era overcame Cash's Ono and Heavy Machinery. They proclaimed that Bearer's parents' deaths were caused by The Undertaker, further increasing his hatred for him after he betrayed the deceased by supporting humanity. During a Raw episode, Bearer learned that a fan was determined to punish him by attacking him from below. He lost his footing and landed on the protective turf outside the ring after the small fan clutched at his feet. WWE Access event. People can get a close-up look at WWE through fan access, but in 2015, one fan went too far. Though the supporters' fan access was withdrawn, the other WWE fans were quite concerned for the man's safety, which fortunately did not occur. The following one involves a fan who was dismissed for an equally peculiar reason. The fan pretended to be a police officer. Now, this fan was expelled for a rather odd reason. Kevin Hunsberger, a fan who decided to honor the Big Boss Man by cosplaying as the legendary character, experienced an unexpected turn of events at WrestleMania 39, which took place over a weekend of furious wrestling action. A Georgia Sheriff's Department patch, a crucial feature of the Big Boss Man's recognizable ensemble, was included in his faithfully recreated costume. Hunsberger's cosplay went well on the first night of WrestleMania, allowing him to join other fans in their costumes as their favorite WWE stars. However, on the second night, security personnel at SoFi Stadium confronted him, claiming that his outfit was too lifelike and could be mistaken for an enrolled law enforcement official, which is a major worry during public gatherings. The security guard remained unmoved despite Huntsberger's attempts to clarify the purpose of his cosplay and even take off the contentious patch. After Huntsberger was asked to leave the stadium due to the escalation, other fans defended him by attempting to clarify that he was not a real police officer but rather a Hall of Famer. But their attempts were unsuccessful. The security guy eventually persuaded Huntsberger to leave the stadium. I suppose there is a very excellent explanation why he didn't deserve to be barred from the venue. A fan was permanently barred from WWE events after attempting to touch Sasha Banks, but when she was crossing the barricade. There was an instant legal reaction to the WWE Clash of Champions event, where a fan attempted to touch her inappropriately. The fan in issue was swiftly removed from the venue by the WWE security staff and local law authorities after the event, illustrating WWE's zero-tolerance policy for such behavior. The organization and its performers will take all necessary measures to safeguard their artists and enforce the law. As Sasha Banks' tweet announcing her intention to sue provided as a stark warning. The following one is a little funny. A fan crosses the ring. There have been many odd and surprising events in the WWE, but few have been as outrageous as this one. During a WWE live concert in Newcastle, England, a fan dressed as a Red Power Ranger got involved in an odd occurrence that would become a topic of conversation for both fans and security staff. The superstars were prepared to display their athleticism and charisma on that fateful night, when the arena was teeming with the excitement of thousands of fans anticipating the next match. However, they were unaware that an unexpected performance by an audience member would be part of the evening's entertainment. A fan in the famous Red Power Ranger costume sprang over the barricade and ran around the ring with an exuberance that matched the event's intensity as the lights danced and the music blared. A flurry of jeers and shouts soon followed, and the fan, who appeared to be relishing the spotlight, carried on with his impromptu lap of the ring. The fan's brief moment of fame ended when the security staff, taken aback by the unexpected run, rushed to put an end to the ring-running adventure and swiftly removed him from the arena. In 2018, Roman Reigns was still a major focus for WWE, and they wanted fans to enjoy him. However, this only made them despise Roman more, and they made sure to let WWE know about it. A fan threw Roman Reigns the finger and crotch chops during a Raw program, which was reportedly excessive, and the individual was ejected by venue security. The man appeared to have gotten into a fight with another fan after saying something to them as he was leaving. The anti-Roman Reigns fan had to settle for giving crotch chops from his TV, since, fortunately, nothing major occurred. 37 delay. As fans from all over the world anxiously anticipated the return of the biggest stage in professional wrestling, the path to WrestleMania 37 was paved with excitement. The prospect of real applause and tangible excitement has the wrestling world giddy with anticipation after a year of deserted venues and online spectators. Unease started to permeate the gathering as dark clouds collected menacingly overhead. As the first drops of rain began to fall, the whispers became worried, and the little shower quickly escalated into a torrential downpour. The unannounced, inclement weather threatened to postpone the event. This infuriated one spectator, who went on a rant throughout the stadium. Cardboard cutouts were used by WWE Toa fan attacked Kalisto on a 205 live broadcast, becoming so enraged that he started cutting them to pieces. Fortunately for Kalisto, someone else had it out for him as he and Grand Metalik faced off against Brian Kendrick and Jack Gallagher. The match ended in disqualification after Kendrick and Gallagher disregarded the rules and started beating up both luchadors. The The crowd's enthusiasm gave way to anxiety as Kalisto gripped his face, the agony evident even through his mask, and the effect was sudden and startling. Known for its stage drama, the performance was abruptly overtaken by a real-life crisis. Moments after cheering, the fans fell silent, a sense of collective shame lingering over their own behavior. The fan was fortunately located and removed from the venue. At a SmackDown event in 2017, a fan chose to utilize his voice and brought a placard that said, "JBL bullied me." The guy was removed, so either the man refused to give up his sign or WWE didn't give him an option. A part of one of the most well-liked tag teams of the Attitude Period in the Acolytes APA, JBL is a WWE Hall of Fame great and a former world champion in the organization, has a reputation for being one of the industry's biggest bullies. It's still unclear how much he bullied people, but several wrestlers say he was a constant bully who even forced one of the top WWE commentators to leave the organization. Some claim he did nothing worse than anyone else he thought of during the Attitude Era. But does it even justify his purported behavior in the WWE? In the last one, a wrestler is attacked by a spectator. Seth Rollins assaulted Finn Balor at a live Monday Night Raw show, and the two got into a brawl. Rollins was going to stop it there after defeating Finn. A fan, later identified as 24-year-old Eliza Spencer, escaped from the spectator section and charged at Rollins, tackling him to the ground with a remarkable burst of speed in a scene that would soon go viral. A fan had breached the sacrosanct barrier between WWE performers and the audience, turning a scheduled event into a real-life conflict. The scene was one of utter shock. The assault was swift and brutal, and Spencer, motivated by unknown reasons, had eluded security and caught Rollins completely off surprise. As the two guys collapsed to the ground, Spencer attempted to wrestle Rollins in a manner reminiscent of the event that had just occurred in the ring. And the WWE audience watched in shock. The man was detained and charged with several charges related to the incident, and he was also ejected from the premises.